Mr. Mike is here today.
Mike
is going to tell us his story, give us some information about marketing, right? So everybody's phone is on vibrate. You got your phone, make sure it's on silent. We don't want a phone call going on. We don't want a ding-a-ling-a-ling. We don't want anything. Everybody's phone is on vibrate. We're going to give Mike our undivided attention because he's going to be magical, entertaining, and wonderful. Okay? Without further ado, a round of applause for Mr. Mike.
Thank you, guys. First of all, for the freshmen in here, freshmen, raise your hands. Freshmen? All right, my boy Gabe has an eye out for you, so if you guys misbehave, he's going to come get you, him and the rest of the seniors, right? There you go. That's Gabe right there. All right, is Mr. Delatory, Principal Delatory here yet, or no?
No, not yet.
Okay, all right, so good afternoon. Good afternoon. I got you guys after lunch, huh? Let's see. All right, here's what we got. Anybody recognize this man right here? Who knows who this is right here? Raise your hand, sir. Nope. Look at him closely. Come on, he hasn't changed that much. Sir. That's Delatory. That is Delatory right there. That is Delatory. At the end of this, and this is why I wish he was in here right now. So at the end of this, I'll go back to this slide if you guys want to take a picture, okay? So don't do it now, but when he's in here, we'll like to take a picture. How many of you know that Delatory played football in high school? Yeah, so he was a pretty good offensive tackle. Is he here yet? Does anybody see him? All right. Yeah, he's huge. He's a good guy. I love Delatory. So Delatory called me up and he goes, "Hey, Mike, can you come and speak to my students?" This is last year. Things got a little crazy, and then Patty and I figured it out for this year. Come speak. And I said, "Speak about what?" And he said, "Man, you do so many things. Just speak about your story and how you got to where you're at. And you guys will find that out throughout the speech here." And I said, "Okay, cool. I just don't want to come and say my story because everybody has a story. Everybody has, good stories, bad stories, challenges in life, and they persevere and blah, blah. They make a movie out of it, right? Mine isn't that interesting. So what I figured I'd come and do is teach you guys a lesson. And hopefully, not only do you learn my story, but you take maybe one or two nuggets out of this story and then apply it to your life. And hopefully, if you guys use this application, I did something good for you. I'm just going to give you little tidbits because I only have about 40 minutes. I'm trying to speak less than that. But I want you guys to get as much of this as possible. So the lesson that I decided to give you guys is how to be a lousy entrepreneur. I want you guys to be terrible entrepreneurs, right? So this is my lesson for you guys. So how do we start this lesson? I can teach you guys more of things not to do than what to do. I've been in business for about 20 years now, and I've made a ton of mistakes, a ton of them. And looking back now, I realize that those mistakes were lessons in my life that have put me in the position that I am now, all right? So let's start off here. Opportunity doors, close as many as possible, all right? Bandwidth, load your plate with as many things as possible. Think you're the smartest person in the room. This is the Dunning-Kruger effect. We'll talk about that later. And then put yourself last. Exercises for jocks. So these are the 4 lessons that we're going to speak of today, right? So opportunity doors. How many of you, show of hands, have been to the Animal Kingdom Resort? Have stayed there? All right, so you know how long those hallways are and how many doors there are, especially if you got the furthest room in the hotel, all right? Your goal in life, especially now as teenagers, is to create as many doors and unlock them as possible. This starts through your foundation, which is academia. I know, here's mom and dad speaking on the stage again about how we got to get our grades up. My story will reflect on that right there, okay? So you want to keep those doors open. I lost my dream scholarship when I was 15 years old. Back then we started as sophomores, we didn't start as freshmen. I came into high school, Cole Park, that's where I met Delatory. Actually, I know him from junior high, but I played with Delatory there. I was 15 years old, and I was about 5'10", 140 pounds, but there was something stuck in my head that I was going to play D1 football. I was going to play for Division I football. I went into my JV year, and I played 4 games. I stunk up, and they benched me for 2 games. But then I thought, okay, my junior year, I have it set that I'm going to come and I'm going to represent, I'm going to get better. My junior year came around and my counselor told me I'm ineligible. What is your GPA eligibility here for sports? Anybody know? 2.5. We were at 1.5. So imagine my GPA that I was ineligible to play football my junior year, right? I missed all of my junior year. Lucky for me, I hit a growth spurt. I went from 5'10" to 6'3", and I also put on about 60 pounds, so I was 220. Here comes Hurricane Andrew. You guys weren't born yet. I know some of our instructors were there. Hurricane Andrew hits, and we lose 3 games of the season. So now I have 7 games to try to make a name for myself and get a Division I scholarship. The opportunity that I had was that I had Pistol Pete Gonzalez on my team. One of our good friends, Lucas, and I are actually going this weekend to visit Pete in Pittsburgh. He played for the Steelers. And because teams had their eyes on Peter, we got looked at as well, which is a benefit. Season ends, I finished with 10.5 sacks and about 27 tackles. I have a pretty good season. And I'm sitting in Mr. Rubin's class, English teacher, and the runner comes in and says, Coach Clark Eakes wants to see Mike Osuna. I walk out the door and I speak to him and I said, what is this all about? Am I in trouble? And he goes, no, it looks like there's a recruiter from Louisville, because he has the Louisville Cardinals logo on his shirt, that wants to speak with you. And I'm walking there and I'm thinking, that's it. Goal accomplished. Division I football, my dream. I'm going to go play a tenure at Division I football, and I'm going to go to the NFL. It was set. There was nothing wrong about this. I go to the office. He's talking to me about Louisville. Back then we'd have phones. He has a brochure. He's showing me the campus. He says, will you sign a letter of intent? A letter of intent is basically you're committing to sign a scholarship when the deadline is. I said, absolutely, pull out the letter of intent. Goes into his back pocket, pulls out the letter of intent. He goes, but wait, I need to see your transcripts. Runner takes off. Now I'm sweating. He comes back with an envelope from the front office, hands it, rips it open, opens it, looks at it, puts it to the side, grabs the letter of intent, rips it up, slides his card across the table and says, call me when you get your stuff together. He used other words that I can't use right now. And my dreams are crushed. Gets up and walks out the office, and Coach Eek says to me, I've had a couple of phone calls about you from other Division I schools, but now I'm not going to waste your time because you don't have the grades. Now, I end up, sorry, I got to figure this thing out. I end up getting to my goal through a long, long path. Can you guys see this? So I end up going to Mount Scenario College, population 3,000. There's probably more kids and people here in this area than there was in Ladysmith, Wisconsin, okay? I go to Mount Scenario for 1 year. Then I transfer to UW Stout, which is a Division III school, for 1 year. Then I go to Miami-Dade Community College, and here's where the rubber meets the road. You are the sum of the 5 people that you hang out with. And your parents, if they're of Hispanic descent, may have told you, dime con quien tú andas, y te diré con tú eres. Sorry, my Spanish is terrible, right? But tell me who you hang out with, and I'm going to tell you what they are. The 4 or 5 people that you hang out with the most have a high influence on you guys. You may not know it, but they have a very high, significant influence on you guys. So you hang out with winners and high performers, you're going to be a winner and a high performer. You hang out with losers and people that are going to pull you down, you're going to be a loser, and you're going to help pull other people down. They usually pull you down, they don't push you up. So be careful who you hang out with. So I avoided all of my friends at Miami-Dade as much as possible. After that, I called Alan Gooch, who was a recruiter at UCF, and I said, hey, coach, I got my 60 credits, my GPA is up to 3.2. Do you have a scholarship available to me? And he said, no, Mike, you're going to have to apply on your own, and you're going to have to walk onto the team. We no longer have a roster spot for you. So I went and I did just that. I applied for the school UCF, I got in, and then I went with the other 27 guys, and I walked onto the team. Turns out I made Scout Team Player of the Year, and the very next year I got a scholarship. Division I, here I am. Reached my goal. I got there only because I persevered, but I could have had a much easier route if I would have just paid attention in school and done the things that were asked of me from my coaches and my teachers, and of course my little Cuban mom. Got my grades, I wouldn't have had to go through that headache in order to play Division I football, right? So opportunities, you don't see them right now, and they're hard to see, especially at this age, but they're there. And you gotta make sure that you leave those doors down that long, long hallway unlocked, okay? So, opportunities are important. I'll eventually figure out which way to go here. Bandwidth. Load as many things as you possibly can on your plate. And obviously, if you haven't figured this out, this is sarcasm here, guys, right? So, load as much as you can, and how I walked away from all of my businesses. In 2005, September 2005, after my football career, I played arena football for 4 years. This is a much better spot for me. Right? After I played arena football for a couple of years, I decided what next. It just turns out that my cousin is a fire chief. And he called me up and he goes, hey, listen, stop pursuing this dream. It's not going to happen for you. Go ahead and apply for the fire department. You and the other 1,000 of applicants that are trying to become a firefighter. September 2005, I got lucky enough that I got hired for Palm Beach County. I'm in my 19th year as a driver operator for Palm Beach County. I get that job, and I don't know if you guys know the firefighter schedule, it's kind of rough. You work 1 day on, 2 days off. 1 day on, 2 days off. And then every third week, just as if that isn't enough, you get 5 days off. So in a month, you work 9 days, and you have about 20 to 21 days off, right? You guys are gonna be Googling tonight, fire careers. It's a great schedule. What happens on your days off is idle hands are the devil's playground, right? So you kind of find yourself in a little bit of a situation of what do I do with my life on these 48 hours off, and sometimes 5 days off. So I went and I said, you know what? I like physical fitness. I like coaching. I'm going to apply that. And I started with a small little company called Premier Sports Training. I started with athletes, high school athletes, some professional guys, and some collegiate guys. I meet a guy by the name of Nick Alvarez because I kept getting rained out. I said, hey, let me rent a spot from you, space in your gym. He had a gym in the Doral. I go, I rent space from him. I find out about this thing called CrossFit. How many show of hands know CrossFit? Have ever done CrossFit? Have heard of CrossFit? Okay, so I find out about this thing about CrossFit. This is around 2009. CrossFit really didn't hit the scene down here in Miami. I go and I open up a CrossFit gym, and in the blink of an eye, I now have 6 different locations in 3.5 years. So I'm now a husband, a father, a firefighter. Look at it with me. Doral, Gables, Brickles, Grove, Somi, Upper Keys, and CrossFit East. Those are all of my gyms. But it wasn't enough because opportunities are now knocking. And I said, let me get into the CrossFit competition space. So I go ahead and open up a company called Crush Games. It was arguably the largest CrossFit competition outside of the CrossFit Games. We open it up and we run it for 6 years. So now I'm really riding high. I said, you know what? Let me leverage my network and open up a supplement company. And then I open up Formulex. This is all happening at the same exact time. That which gets watered grows. So if you have one plant, you can nurture that plant, you could feed that plant, you could watch that plant for any green spots or what's happening to it and take care of it. If you have 100 plants, you might run out of water, you might run out of time, you might run out of energy. And all of those plants might die. So although you have one plant that thrives or you have 100 plants that die, you decide. So when you load up your plate, because now the opportunities come your way, be careful because you have a certain amount of bandwidth. And we did all of this without an infrastructure. And what I mean by infrastructure, excuse me, we didn't have the right people in the right places in order for me to disconnect and do the things that I really love and have those businesses thrive like I do now. So excuse me, in December of 2015, after our 5th Crush Games, I sat with my partner, Nick Alvarez, which I still love, we're still very good friends, and I said, I'm out. I'm done. He said, what are you talking about? We're making a boatload of money. Do the math if you want. We had 6 gyms, 500 members, paying $125. Don't do it now, you can do it later. Look around how much money that is. That's how much we were pulling in, just between 2 partners. And I said, this money, this income does not supersede my happiness. I am drained, I'm burning the midnight oil, or the candle at both ends, meaning I'm going to sleep very late, waking up. I wasn't depressed, but I wasn't happy. I wasn't having this joyful moment that I should be having by being incredibly successful in the CrossFit space. I walked away from it all. I said, give me 2 gyms. Give me 2 of the gyms that are making the least amount of money. You keep everything else, and I'll walk away. Easy transaction. And we did just that. Now I own a gym in Coconut Grove. It's called CrossFit Coconut Grove. Training 9 is the facility. 1 gym, 5 employees. They do all the jobs. I gave myself the marketing position because I got to do something to earn my money. But I absolutely love exactly where I am in life. Okay? So what I'm telling you guys about bandwidth, be careful because the more successful you get, even as a student, the smarter you are, people are going to pull from you, and you need to learn how to say no and what to say no at, okay? So those opportunities that seem like they could give you a lot of return on investment, ROI, could turn out to be a sacrifice and end up hurting. Cool? I love this one. Think you're the smartest person in the room. Give me a second. By the way, Gabe is taking names on those of you that are sleeping. You watching, Gabe? All right, so be the smartest person in the room. How many of you guys have heard the opposite of this? Don't be the smartest person in the room, right? So why do you think people give you the advice of don't be the smartest person in the room? If you're the smartest person in the room, you really can't push up. You can't really help people. You gotta pull people up to you. So I wanna be at the bottom of that room, I should say in the intelligent-wise, education-wise, and wisdom-wise, to learn from other people. And that takes a lot of humility. That takes a lot of pride and ego swallowing to sit there and know that you're probably not the smartest guy in the room, but that you're listening and open to these conversations. I don't even know exactly what movie it is. I believe it was Denzel Washington, but he said, "Speak to me like I'm a fifth grader." And I steal that line all the time, especially when it comes to intricacies of business that I'm not too familiar with. And I am not ashamed to say that. And they look at me, they're like, "Dude, you owned 8 different companies for over a decade. How do you not know this term?" I don't. Please explain that to me. So speak to me like I'm a fifth grader. Dunning-Kruger effect. So I'm sorry, guys don't take a lot of selfies. This is the only picture that I could find of, oh, you do? You guys gotta teach me later. We'll take one after this. So this gentleman here, his name is Francisco Gonzalez. He is one of my best friends. He also runs a hedge fund. A hedge fund is a different way of saying he makes millions in the business world. He has education, academia, and then experience through his hedge fund. This is my go-to guy for anything business. And on the way home, I have an idea about another business, and I'll call him up. Or I could be going through some tax situations, and I call him up. Anything relating to business, I go to him. Why? I am not a subject matter expert in the finance field, but I have people in my camp that are. On my podcast, Fitness Fiasco, that's a shameless plug. Fitness Fiasco, sitting next to me is an exercise physiologist that literally writes the books for University of Miami, and then a registered dietitian, which is the vice president of the ISSN. So I have 2 very smart individuals, one in exercise phys and one in nutrition, that are way above me intellectually when it comes to exercise and fitness. And I just lean on them. And if there's something that I don't know, I pick the phone and I call those guys. So mentorship could be a shortcut to a lot of the problems that you may be facing, and you may not even know that you're going to be encountering those problems. You don't know what you don't know, okay? Dunning-Kruger effect is basically the concept of you know just enough to get you in trouble, okay? So think about learning on the XY axis, and as you move along the axis, and you start learning about, call it nutrition, call it fitness, call it politics, science, whatnot, you start thinking that you know it all. And you don't see the top of the hill because you're gathering all this information. Now you're going home and you're correcting mommy and daddy, you're correcting your sisters, you're telling your friends, but you're slowly falling into that concept of Dunning-Kruger. It isn't until you get to the tip of the iceberg that you can see beyond to know, I don't know anything about this topic. When I first started, I fell in love with the paleo diet. How many of you heard paleo diet? Show of hands. Paleo diet, basically you're cutting out carbohydrates. And I thought it was the end-all be-all of diets. I pushed it to all of my 3,000 members. My email was I am Paleo Mike. That was my email, I am Paleo Mike. And I got hurt one time. And I went to a conference in Vegas, and there was a gentleman there by the name of Lane Norton. BioLane is his Instagram, Lane Norton. And he started talking about macronutrients. And that guys my size should be having about 300 grams of carbs a day. And like 300 grams of carbs, I don't have that in a week. This guy's nuts. So I started with him, I listened to him, and I started consuming all of his YouTube videos. He has a great channel. Consuming all of his videos. Then I went to go see Andy Galpin, and then I went to go see Menno Hesselman. And then I realized, I fell into the Dunning-Kruger effect. There's so much depth and breadth to a topic that you don't even recognize that you don't know what you don't know. Okay, Dunning-Kruger, you guys can look it up later on. But mentorship is a shortcut to get to your goals, okay? Put yourself last, and this is where my passion is. Put yourself last, exercises for jocks. It's not, obviously that's a pun. So I'm always competing because I feel the need to always challenge myself, even at 48 years old. How many of you do jujitsu or know what jujitsu? Anybody here do jujitsu? All right, so I just got my 2nd strike today. I'm a white belt. I'm terrible. I'm absolutely horrible at jiu-jitsu. But I was getting bored. I competed in CrossFit for many years. I was obviously a football player, and I needed something challenging. So I decided to go and get choked out by guys half my size. Literally put to sleep on the mat every morning. but I literally guys half my size, all right? I'm always feeling the need to compete because if you're not growing, you're dying. So you need to find challenges and don't be afraid, not only maybe just compete in the physical world, but also in the academic world. Maybe that isn't for you. Maybe physical fitness isn't for you, but maybe something like chess is for you. Maybe there's a lot of, I'm gonna avoid video games, but I know that that's a hot topic these days. But maybe there's some competitions. Instead of just sitting home and, like I told my son Lucas, okay, you're very good at Fortnite, let's throw you into a competition. I'll fly you to Vegas. Let's do something with the skill that you have with Fortnite. I don't know if he's good or not, but I try to encourage him to compete. Physical fitness is where my livelihood is. And this here is why I am a subject matter expert. So, feel good, look good, sense of worth and pride, take on challenges, BDNF, brain derived neurotropin factors. I don't only exercise because I want to look good, I want to be functional, and I don't want to die on a jiu-jitsu mat. I also work out because it helps my brain, it helps my emotion, it helps my psyche. So even like I did yesterday, which it's on my Instagram, I killed my wife, it's a thing called the Wingate test. It took us literally 6 minutes to work out. 36 seconds as hard as you can on a bike, 4 minutes off, 30 seconds on, 4 minutes off, and you're done. That's it, that's all it took. We couldn't feel our legs for like 2 hours because you're going to maximum effort. But that changes the receptors in your brain and releases brain-derived neurotropic factors, right? To make you and help you feel good. This is crazy, I know, I'm that abusive father. If Lucas sits down at the computer, Lucas is my 14-year-old son that's a freshman I've been in. If he's at the computer playing Fortnite for more than 30 minutes, I make him get up and give me 50 air squats. He literally just sits up, does 50 air squats, goes, gets some water, hates me for it, sits back down and keeps playing. The reason I do that is because I know that it's releasing good endorphins that is going to actually help his performance and help his memory, okay? So try your hardest to incorporate fitness into your life. All right, do we have any questions so far about my past? We're going to move to something else. Go ahead.
This is about the last slide. What's your max squat?
So he asked me, what's my max squat? I love that question. I hate that question, but I love that question. So my max PR squat was 505. I was in college. That was in college. I was 22 years old. I looked like a boy and I weighed 250 pounds. All right. Nowadays, I could probably get like 405. All right. Yeah, for an old guy. Cool. Any more questions? Sure. Okay, so deadlift max is 600. Bench press in college, I did 315 for 8. In college, I got a bum shoulder, so I can't push that. Sure. Yeah.
Were you ever a fan?
I feel like in the NFL combine.
Were you ever a fan of high quality mic content?
High quality mic, so that's way beyond my time. But I will tell you that my son Lucas, he's more on the cerebral side, although he does play water polo because he's forced, and when you see him, you'll be like, that's a water polo player. He's my height, but he's about 140 pounds. He was huge into Minecraft. I just can't understand it, but when I look at the actual game itself, and this is not my field, I understand the complexities that goes behind a game like Minecraft and see that there is a component there that it is physical activity for the brain. So although I hate him sitting in front of the computer for as much as he wants to, we gotta put him away from that thing, I understand that there is some benefits to it. Sir? What's my 40? You didn't ask me what my 40 time is. Go ahead. In college it was a 4.59.
I have a question. So, for kids our age, what would like the best training regime be in general? Because I know you do CrossFit.
Yeah.
For me and a lot of my friends, we train a little bodybuilding style.
Yeah.
But then I also know a lot of like my sister, she does a lot of calisthenics.
Yeah.
So what would you say is better?
Okay, so his question is, what is the best training program? When somebody asks me that, I turn and go, what is your goal?
So my goal is, I used to be much skinnier, so I've really tried to like fill out my frame and become bigger and stronger, so that's why I got more bodybuilding.
Okay.
But I do a lot of sports with
Yeah.
like wrestling and swimming, so I incorporate some calisthenics to like train with my body weight.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're on the right path. So, I basically, when I ask you what is your goal, it's because there's different answers to that question. What is the best training program, right? There's a variety. So I need to know the person's goal or the client's goal in order to give them the right prescription. It seems like you're trying to put muscle mass on, right? And there's a combination. Muscle mass is pretty much garnered through hypertrophy, right? And there's three principles to hypertrophy. There's mechanical tension, right? So mechanical tension, I'm going to bore you guys for just a second. Mechanical tension is going heavy, okay? There's muscle damage. Muscle damage is working between the 8 to 12 rep range. And then there's metabolic stress, and that's in the 15 to 30. Typically, athletes train in the first and second principle, right? So a back squat, a bench press, and a deadlift are three great exercises to work on the mechanical tension side. And those, just so happens, those three lifts are incredibly beneficial for athletics. So think about wrestling and football. The primary mover, which just so happens to be popular as well here these days, are the glutes. So the biggest, strongest muscle that you have is the glutes. This is where explosion comes from. This is what a squat looks like. This is what a deadlift looks like. So if your goal is to get bigger and have a crossover into performance, you definitely keep those three big movers, and then you work some speed and agility stuff. I would also direct you, shameless plug, to the Fitness Fiasco podcast. And we have some of those topics here. Cool? Sir, Gabe, that's my dog.
Would you recommend CrossFit for somebody going to the fire academy?
Yes, absolutely. Would I recommend CrossFit to somebody wanting to fire academy? Absolutely. And here's why. We have a physical assessment test. And the physical assessment test, once you look at it, and you look at the actual metabolic changes that's happening, you actually perform the same thing in CrossFit that you do in a physical assessment test. Meaning, there's some anaerobic components, like pulling a dummy, and there's some aerobic components, like running 7 flights of stairs. CrossFit mixes in, it's called congruent training, CrossFit mixes in those two different components. So although you may not pull a hose in your life, you may not breach a wall in your life, you're doing CrossFit and you understand that pain cave, it crosses over to firefighting.
CPAP, right?
Yeah, the CPAP, absolutely. Yeah? Well, you're graduating soon, right? Start applying. If that's your gig, start applying. All right, so let's get into, is Mr. Donatore here yet? Yes. Mr. Donatore, if you don't mind, I'm going to go back here a second. Guys, sir, is it okay if they take out the phones for 1 second? I'm asking you, sir. Why not? Okay. Please don't get mad at me. I was surprised that they did not know that you were an amazing offensive tackle. This is shocking to me. And you have here. It is shocking to me that you guys did not know the legend of Lucas Donatore. All right? So, all right, let's talk a little bit. How much time do I have, Patty? I don't even know how long I've been going for. All right. Here we go. So let's talk a little bit about, I believe that some of you guys are in the digital space. Some of you guys are like in the marketing digital space. All right. How many of you have ever heard of inbound marketing? Inbound marketing? Okay, so inbound marketing, you guys are exposed to it all the time. You just don't know that you're exposed to it. Inbound marketing on the business level is give, and then two things are going to happen. You're either going to ask for something, or the audience is going to ask you for something. So what do I mean by that? Whether you're on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, you see, let's call me Chef Mike, and I have this cookbook that I sell for $29.99. I could guerrilla market this thing, do some Facebook ads, throw a little spend in there, probably $1,000 a day, pick my geographical audience and the demographic of people. I'm going to look for females between the ages of 21 to 50, and then I'm going to boost that thing. And it's going to end up in your reel or in your feed, and you're going to be scrolling, and you're going to probably scroll past it, and you're going to scroll past it, and you're going to scroll past it. And I'm going to lose about $25 every single day, hoping that somebody clicks and purchases my cookbook. That's one way of marketing. The other way of marketing is inbound marketing. So now I turn around and I go, hey guys, Chef Mike here. I have my Mike's Meatloaf recipe for you guys. Hold up a second, here's what you need. 1 pound of ground beef, 1 pound of olives, 1 pound of pimiento, blah, 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 blah. The next day, here goes Mike again. Hey Mike, hey guys, I have my lasagna recipe. And what you need is 3 pounds of olives. You see where I'm going with this? So every day I'm giving you something for free. The 5th or 6th day, because this takes a lot of patience, you're finally, what is this guy talking about? Oh wow, wait a second, I love shrimp, or I love chicken wings. Let me listen to this recipe. Then you go to your parents and you go, hey mom, can you make this recipe? And now your mom sees it and goes, who's this guy, Mike? Oh wow, this is cool. Okay, got it. And now she starts following me. So 2 things are happening. One of those things is I'm gaining credibility. I've now become a subject matter expert to you. You see me as one of the gurus of cooking recipes, right? Your mom, the one with the money, now also sees me and starts following me. So now I'm increasing my audience and gaining credibility. Does this sound familiar to you guys? So what's gonna happen, 20, 30, 40, 50 videos in, 6 months later, you're gonna either ask me, hey Mike, do you have some sort of cookbook or a blog? Oh wow, it just so happens that I do. Here you go, $29.95. Now that person becomes a lifelong client because I am a subject matter expert, I'm credible to them, and I've given them stuff for free. On my website, I have a couple of, talk about bandwidth, I have a online personal training website, it's called Neversoft. And on that website, I have a free glute program. And I promote that on my Instagram. Hey girls, don't forget free glute program, go and sign up, whatever. So they go, and there it says, free glute program, name, email address. They go, they put their name, they put their emails. What happens when they put their email address? I collect that. So I collect their email address. So now I have about 1,000 email addresses of my perfect demographic of people. These are the people that, one, feel and know that I'm credible because they went to my website, they clicked on the image, and they actually registered and put their email address, which is very, very valuable. That's something very private and very valuable to you. And now I could turn to them and go, hey guys, guess what? I just made a 5-week program, 25 total body workouts. Would you like it? And it goes directly into their inbox. And it pops up and it's Mike Osuna from Neversoft. Oh, this is the trainer that does stuff online that teaches you how to grow your glutes. Got it. Oh, he has an online program or EDF book for $49.95? Purchase. That's how inbound marketing works. So you could use this concept even now, and talking about social media, I'm gonna be the dad again. I tell my son that he's like, Beren, cerebral, I want to go to an Ivy League school. Be careful what you post and be careful what you share on social media, be careful with your comments. Those things never disappear. But when you start building your brand, understand that this is the best way to gain an audience. This is the best way to gain credibility. You guys know, what is his name, Jake Paul?
Yeah.
What's the popular one? Is it Jake Paul or Logan Paul? Was that a dumb question? Like you guys all know Jake Paul? All right, so Jake Paul fed you guys value for years, right? When he launched on YouTube. What was that value? What was he giving you through those YouTube videos? What was it? Grapevine? What is that? Yes, entertainment, right? Entertainment. He was entertaining you, entertaining you. It happens these days. You guys are either on TikTok or you're on Instagram or whatnot, and you see it. Give me a second, guys, I'm almost done. And you see a reel that you like, and you share it with your friends. You might even have a group chat on that Instagram, and you share it with your friends, and you share it with your friends. And when that person that's receiving it sees it going, wow, this guy really knows his jujitsu, follow. So you've been exposed to inbound marketing your whole life. You just don't know it. And this is a great tactic to take when you really start digging into the marketing and the psyche of individuals. Cool? Questions? Sir? Yeah, sure, vamos, dímelo. Correcto. Ooh, why do I continue firefighting? So, this is difficult to say. Firefighting for me, especially where I'm at now. I'm at a house. Has anybody ever been by Lake Okeechobee on US 27? Very few people have, unless you're going camping. There's a station on US 27 as you're going up to Lake Okeechobee on the right-hand side. If you guys ever go by, tell mom and dad, stop and let's go visit Mike. That's my firehouse, okay? It's probably one of the best kept secrets here in South Florida when it comes to firehouses. I love my boys, my crews. I got 5 guys that I work with that are like brothers to me. I got a city that is 98% salt of the earth. They're fantastic human beings. I look forward to going to work, especially having a 3 and 4-year-old at the house. kidding about that, but I love firefighting. Why don't I leave firefighting? Esa fue tu pregunta. ¿Por qué yo estoy todavía bombero si tengo los gimnasios? Okay. Firefighting to me still supplies the ability to take risk. That's a very good question. What do I mean by that? The salary that I get by firefighting, which I won't tell you, is sufficient enough to pay for my livelihood and the 4 mouths, not including my pets, that I feed. So I'm able to take risk opening up 6 gyms, opening up Crush Games, opening up Formulex, which I lost a boatload of money on. I'm able to take those risks because I keep my means. ¿Tú me entiendes cuando yo te hablo de esto? Okay. I keep my means, how much I spend a month, at the firefighter salary. Everything else above that is supplemental income. And it allows me the ability to open up different businesses. We just launched a business, me, Rob Silver, and Eric Bustillo, the Exercise Fizz, and the RD, called Influencer Fitness Solutions. And basically, we're helping influencers, and you guys know who they are, fitness influencers, capitalize on their audience without them even having to lift a finger. And I'm able to use that income that I make to supply these new companies because I don't depend on it for my livelihood. So, haciendo un bombero gives me peace of mind that I don't necessarily need my CrossFit income, my online business income, and my new business income in order to survive. Y eso porque yo lo tengo. También, I work at a fantastic station. I'll be honest with you guys, if I was running 6 calls after midnight, like I used to 10 years ago, I may have retired already. But I'm at such a fantastic station that that's why I'm still a firefighter.
Mike, could you please touch on, and without disclosing, but could you talk about the losses? Because I think sometimes when we think about marketing and we think about digital business marketing, we think about our students, we're always thinking about only success and never having to take a loss, never having any type of failure.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's a good point. So Miss Patty asked me to talk about the losses, and it's funny because I think about this all the time. I said Jake Paul, and I think you guys kind of like scoffed at me because you're like, of course we know who that is, right? So you guys know Jake Paul. You know is his name Jake Paul?
Yeah.
And what's the brother's name? Oh, okay. So you guys know these guys, and I could probably sit here and name other influencers, and you're like, oh yeah, Bradley Martin, and this guy, and this guy, and this guy. Maybe, I don't know. But there is a plethora of influencers that haven't made it, that never made it, that won't make it. There's millions of people that work their tails off to gain an audience. I work my tail off to gain an audience. Why? Why do I want an audience? Because the bigger the audience, the bigger the net that I could pull, males and females that will buy my program. So I inbound marketing. It is incredibly difficult to create content, especially in this very challenging and insightful world of social media, in which I'm pushing out content, but yet it gets pushed down. And in my 6 years on Instagram, I only have about 7,200 followers. Those 7,200 followers now have friends, and I understand the way that it works. But it is incredibly difficult to gain these audiences. If it was a full-time job, like many people do, and this is where a lot of influencers get their losses from, they go all in. I'm gonna go all in, and I'm going to spend X amount of dollars, and nothing comes out of it, and that's where people fail. Failing on the monetary side, I run the social media campaigns for CrossFit, for my CrossFit gym. I spend $25 a month on Facebook $25 a day on Facebook ads. That is about $750 a month. There could be months that we don't capture one lead, that we don't capture one client. That $750 a month is the bare minimum in order to gain traction on Facebook. So I'm literally just sending checks to Facebook knowing that I might not get anything out of this. Every now and then, we'll hit a jackpot and we'll create an offer, and that offer will elicit about 6 to 10 members, and then now I have residual income from those 6 to 10 members. 10 members paying $200, they're with me for 12 years, you do the math. But it is a very challenging game to figure out marketing. It's like hugging a cloud. This table, I don't know, what does it cost? $39 at Walmart, $29, right? You could feel it. I give you money, you give me this table. Marketing, I'm gonna give you money and pray to God this is the right thing. If you look at Super Bowl ads, you look at commercials, I don't know if you guys do these days or not, but you look at this stuff, those marketers are sitting around a table and trying to figure out what does their avatar or target audience, what is it that they like? Now some of the things that are going on with politics and beer companies and Taylor Swift and all these, they try to capitalize on every, Taylor Swift, Kelsey, it has overloaded ESPN's feed. Why? Because football and ESPN is trying to gain a larger audience. So now Taylor Swift's demographic has maybe never watched a football game. But wait a second, Taylor is now going to football games. Now we can maybe capture that group of people because she has a huge following. Does that make sense? So you are always being marketed to. Their companies are always trying to take advantage of current events and things that are trending in order to capture you to either build an audience, because one day you'll be a paying customer. Did I answer your question, Patty?
No, you didn't talk about losses.
Losses. I'm sorry. Talk losses.
Losses. Tell us about your losses.
My
Not just your gains, but your losses. How many hits have you taken in trying to open up all these businesses? that
Oh,
were
yeah.
Unsuccessful.
Oh, well, okay, so we opened up I Am CrossFit East. So we're on a roll. We opened up our gym, I Am CrossFit in Doral in 2009. By mid-2010, we have just over 500 members paying $125. Again, do the math. We could have sat there and said, this is a great little income. We're fine here. We don't need to hire any coaches. But me and Nick Alvarez weren't thinking like that. We were ambitious. Hey, wait a second. Coral Gables doesn't have a location. Let's go put our money in location. And I'll speak specifically about Coral Gables. We go and we open up Coral Gables. Now half of our members go to Coral Gables. So we dilute, this is unforeseen, we dilute our Doral location because we didn't expect people from our Doral location to migrate to Gables. So now we take a hit on one business, and now we got to grow that business again while growing Gables. You see how where bandwidth plays a role here? So now we start opening up Gables. Gables does very well. We up our price point because we're in Gables. We run Gables for about 6 years. I hire a coach in the morning. I won't say his name. And he starts realizing, I'm the only guy here in the morning. These guys don't know Mike and Nick Alvarez. Why? Because Mike and Nick Alvarez are doing other things along with firefighting, raising their kids and whatnot. I am the face of the company. Brad, sorry, I said his name. Brad is the face of the company. So Brad finds out that Body and Soul, I don't know if you guys know who they are at Gables, are opening up a CrossFit location. So Brad goes and reaches out to these guys and go, hey, listen, I'm the only guy here in the morning. I have probably about 150 people that are my clients in the morning. If you hire me, double my salary and give me part of your business, I'll walk across the street with a gang of 150 people, do the math, times $175, and that's the revenue that I'll bring to you guys. In a weekend, we lost roughly $20,000 to $27,000 overnight. Weekend. He left on Friday. He sent an email out to all of his members, his morning members, and the morning comes around, I get a text message from one member going, where's your coach and where are the rest of the people? And it was empty, crickets. This goes back to bandwidth. I was not the face of the company over there. I did not have my hands in it. I delegated that to somebody. It just ended up not being the best of character, and that was one of my huge losses. I could go on and on with these types of stories. And Patty, I'm sorry, the recollection, and I don't want to bore you guys with all of these, but there are ups and downs in business, and this is why the lessons that I learned of the things that I did wrong, I will never do that again. I will make sure this time that if there is somebody running my gym, that they do have an owner's percentage, right? So now my gym, my coach, not only is he an employee, he also owns a percentage of the gym. Why? Because he'll never leave. He will never leave because that is his gym as well, and he gets a distribution at the end of the year. Distribution. I own 40%, my partner owns 40%, he owns 20%. We distribute $100,000 at the end of the year. He makes what? $20,000, right? So you wouldn't walk away from that. You wouldn't just quit. So he has leverage on me, I have leverage on him, and it's a symbiotic relationship. Patty, now?
Excellent.
Did I nail it? Yes. Good. How much time? We're good? Sir?
As much as you want, I believe I'll do. They've learned the importance of having a website social media content, writing articles, blog postings, can you share, because you've alluded to all those things.
Yep.
Can you share how that's worked for you and how valuable that email address is?
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. So, you know, we started off, I go back to bandwidth and the things that I can help happen. Hiring a media company, I want to give you a shout out to your media company again.
World War Studios.
What is it?
World War Studios.
World War Studios?
World War.
World War Studios. Okay, so World War Studios. I'm only going to guess here, they're not cheap. If they're quality work, like this gentleman is, they're expensive. They're pricey. I'll give you an example. I hired a photographer a few months, probably 9 months ago, to come in. A friend of mine. And she goes, hey Mike, I'm going to give you a discounted rate of $500. I'm thinking, and this is me just not being clear on the situation, I'm thinking she's charging me $500 a month because this is how we used to hire our cameramen to come in. And it is just doing camera work, photography. Come into the gym, take some pictures of people doing squats, send it to me on a G drive, and I post on social media. I used to have a social media director, I do it now. Post on social media. The caption is the most difficult part. So she charged me $500. I get an invoice, I pay her the $500. I called her up 2 weeks later, I said, hey, we're having a nutrition lecture, I want you to come take pictures. Okay, cool. 2 days later, I get an invoice from her again, $500. I call her up, I'm like, hey, so this is $500 every time you come to my gym? She goes, yeah, Mike, what did you think it was? I'm like, oh, no, I knew, I just was checking. I thought it was $500 a month. I should have asked. It could cost me $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month just to take pictures in my gym that I need for social media. Why? Some of you don't care, but some of you, when I leave here, you might go to my Instagram, you might go to Training Nine's Instagram. Because once you hear that name and there's some sort of interest, you need to find some credibility to these people. And if you're not on social media these days, people typically don't look for a website. They usually first go to social media. Facebook, TikTok, I'm not a TikTok guy, Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram. Because they want to see your facility, they want to see what you offer, they want to see your prices, they want to see your location, they want to get to know you. So once you put that information out there, now they're grasping a little bit more about you. So it needs to exist. So instead of me paying,
Question for you.
sir,
Talk about the quality of pictures.
oof, that is huge. So, okay, so I have a little bit of, I have an argument to both sides here, okay? Because what I've found is that people love authenticity. And I only find this is anecdotal through my social media, okay? If I, and if you guys go on my social media, you'll see this, I have done it all. I've put the high-end camera, I've hired a photographer, a videographer to come, sit with me, I've sat in it, great lighting, the board behind me. I rant off about being in a calorie deficit. And it'll be very professionally done, high-end audio, and it gets a fraction of the views than me in my pickup truck with just holding on the phone and talking about calorie deficit. For some reason, and it just depends on your audience, people have a tendency to appreciate more authenticity than professionalism. Now, when you get a big audience, it could be both. So if you follow Lane Norton, it's at BioLane. He does professional videos, but when you listen to him speak, you feel like you're talking to your friend because it's his way of bringing you in. So even though the videos are pretty much professionally done, he's still very authentic with you. So when it comes to imagery, yes, of course, the quality of the photos are huge. Now, does the audience care that the person's that doing an overhead squat, that the lighting in the picture is bad? No, but for branding purposes it does. And we've had many opportunities with other brands and influencers to combine with them. And they've either told me you gotta up your game, this isn't up to my standards, or whatnot. So quality is important. Answer your question?
Yes.
So, talking about the what were we, with the clicks, the emails, gathering emails, and the reason that I have a podcast. If I have 500 listens to our podcast, that's a lot. The podcast came about because Eric, myself, and Rob came up with this business idea, Influencer Fitness Solutions. And how do we get the message across to these influencers that you don't know squat about exercise fitness? And we watch a lot of these influencers that some of you might follow talk about glute development or power output, and they have no clue what they're talking about. They may watch a couple of YouTube videos and then just regurgitate that information, but trust me, and I won't call this Miami influencer out, she knows nothing about physical fitness and getting results. So we created the Fitness Fiasco podcast in order for when we reach out to her and go, listen, we gotta be completely honest here. You're missing your mark. You know nothing about exercise phys. Yes, you may get 1 or 200,000 people to go and register, but in a month from now, they're not gonna see any results and they're gonna drop you. Let us handle that side of it. Let us handle the back end of your app or your PDFs or your ebooks. Let us create those for you, and you could brand them all you want. We're gonna be the hidden soldiers in the shadows for you. How do I reach out to them? Quick little text message. Usually I try to go by somebody that knows them. I know a lot of people here in Miami. I'll try to get their phone number, their email, or their DM to get it through to them. Or we just straight up just cold call them. By cold call them, I mean direct message them. I say, listen, here's who we are. Here's our website. Here's our podcast. Please have a listen. And I usually send them the shortest one because attention span, as we now know, is very, very short. And the reason that I use my podcast is because of inbound marketing. I don't expect to make $1. I am nowhere near the Joe Rogans of the world. I am looking simply to gain some credibility in these influencers' lives so they can go, wait a second, these guys sound like they know what they're talking about. And what is it that you guys do? You guys do everything for me? You're hired. And that's the reason that we use our podcast. Any more questions? Señor, otra vez, vamos. Sí, tengo otro proyecto. So, ambition could also be detrimental. La ambición puede ser malo. Y yo estoy aprendiendo en mi vida a decir no. Hasta este día. About a year ago, I recognized that there's a hole in the firefighting principle. I go into Gabe's house. You live at home, Gabe?
Yes, sir.
Gabe has a fire tonight. Okay, I'm gonna jinx it. Gabe has a fire. Do you have brothers and sisters? Parents? Yeah. How many bedrooms?
I think it's 5.
5 bedrooms. Okay. Big money baller here. Nice flex. Nice flex. So Gabe has a fire tonight in the middle of the night. Mom goes, calls 911. Here we come. 911 screaming to your house, right? You see the lights and sirens flying by you. I pull up to Gabe's house. I know nothing of what's inside of Gabe's house. Nothing of what's inside. Esto tu pregunta. I know nothing of what inside of Gabe's house looked like. I don't know if Gabe is unconscious, overwhelmed by smoke, and how to get to him or even where his room is at. We have a tactic called 360, where my captain jumps out of the vehicle while I put my truck in pump and my firefighter starts pulling the hose. My captain tries to get around the building, the house. Hopefully he doesn't have a gate. Hopefully he doesn't have a pit bull. So that he could come out and go, I think the living room's here, the kitchen's there, the bedrooms are over there, there's a kid in every room, let's go to this place first. That's how we operate, okay? Best guess. Now, do we train our butts off? Absolutely. Is it a very well-educated guess? Absolutely. Do we usually get the mark right? We certainly do. But it's a guessing game. So about a year ago, I'm looking at this model going, why don't we know what the layouts of these houses look like? Why are we going literally into the dark here of these homes and not knowing how many children are in the home, how many parents are in the home, where the pets are they dangerous? Is there grandma with an oxygen tank on her? Why don't I know this information? There needs to be another way for this. In a commercial space, we have PIP. So our PIP book allows me to go to Home Depot, and as I pull up to Home Depot, it used to be a book, now it's on the computer. But I open it up and I'm like, okay, this is a 100,000 square foot facility, it has chemicals in the back, it has 6 X-ray ways here, it has the rich. I already know what it looks like. So my officer could just turn to me and go, hey, Mike, I want you to take the Bravo side, blah, 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 blah. He's barking out instructions because I know what the structure looks like. I have no idea what Gabe's structure looks like. So, para tu pregunta, my firefighter friend and I decided to, hey, let's open up another business, otra compañía, and try to solve this problem. Give or take, with technology, about $25,000 in, we did an MVP, it's called the Minimal Viable Product, and we launched it to 100 of our closest friends. The feedback on it was absolutely terrible. Why? Because Gabe and his parents don't want to give out his information. They don't know if it's a secured source of who's going to have the layout of their homes, and we decided to write it up as a loss. So when I talk about bandwidth, ¿qué tú crees que pasa cuando I'm focused on how to design the technology to create the inside layout of a home to my gym? Who's paying attention to that? Who's doing the Facebook marketing to that? Nobody is, because I'm the marketing guy. So when I discuss bandwidth, be careful to what you say yes to, because it sounds like a phenomenal idea, but it's not only going to consume money, which, whatever, I mean, $25,000 is a lot of money. It's not only going to consume money, but what it's going to consume is time. And that time takes away from other revenue sources, and most of all, most important in my life, my family, my little children, and my 14-year-old. So anytime I turn to focus on something, I'm turning my back away from them. So, para contestar tu pregunta muy larga, estoy aprendiendo a say no and not take on any more projects except what I have on my plate right now. Cool? Guys, I think I took up enough of your time. I appreciate it. This has been absolutely awesome. Gabe, thank you, brother. Thank you, Mr. Della Torre. Appreciate you guys.
I would like to thank him. I'm, and I don't say this very often, but I was exceptionally impressed by your presentation. I think that you guys, I felt the energy in the room. I think you guys got a lot out of it, and you understand not only some CrossFit stuff and some exercise stuff, but you understand the business and the marketing. I think the most important point to walk away with today that he spoke of is bandwidth. What you dedicate your time to. Social media is big. He said it's all consuming. He said you throw money at it and it's hit or miss. Before you leave, please don't think that Mr. Mike is 100% successful. He's had his failures. So in that journey, whatever journey you guys are eager to get to in life, there are some failures. And failures make you who you are. So keep that in mind. Please give Mr. Mike a round of applause. He also led us into another area, which I'm gonna invite, we had already spoken, Emilio Warwar, he's got his own network. We've spoken, he's gonna come back. He's videoing the conference today. We're gonna try and put all of our stuff on social media, so it's a pretty good, it's gonna be impressive. I know you guys are the first graduating class, but every year we're gonna get better, right? We started with COVID, by the way.
Oh, wow.
We started with COVID.
Can I add? When Mike spoke about social media, didn't it sound like something that someone else said?
All of you.
Good.
Be careful what you put on social media.
Everything's free, I'm gonna be a firefighter. There you go.
We wanted to present you with a hat.
So we have a certificate and his own Cutler Bay hat.
Gabe, I need you here. Flex. Flex. Wait, I'm going to take two of them. Here you go. Three of them. All right, here we go. Hey, big laugh.
Appreciation.